Hello guys, welcome to episode 6 of Grams Delivered. Hopefully you guys have recovered from the peat from last month. I know some of you guys have told us you absolutely loved it, and some of you, as expected, told us you hated it. But yeah, that's one side of whiskey that is very divisive. But today we have decided to choose an absolute classic that I think if you're a whiskey fan you will enjoy, whether you like peated or unpeated. The spirit itself is very unusual, has a big following, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and kind of why it has that following. So what we're going to try today is Clynelish. So yeah, up in Brora, and this is Clynelish 14, which is, probably, they don't have a huge core range. They don't have like a 10, 12, 18. It kind of is the 14, and sometimes they do like a sort of distillers reserve.
Distillers edition.
Distillers edition, I think it's
you
called.
You might be lucky enough if you're up there as well to get a distillery exclusive now and then, but for the most part it's Clynelish 14. Yeah, that's sort of the classic.
Cracking dram.
Absolutely fantastic dram, and as Matt sort of touched on, it does sort of have this cult status amongst whiskey fans with very good reason. It's absolutely fantastic, and yeah.
Why do you think it's got a cult status?
So, I mean, there are certain distilleries out there that just really have a sort of cult following, and Clynelish is definitely one of them. And part of that is sort of the texture of Clynelish, and yeah, a lot of people say it has this sort of unusual waxy texture that I think is just so unusual, and yeah, just
it's a weird way to describe a drink, but hopefully when we pour some, you'll understand. It's when we say waxy, it's like a real mouth coating feel, quite viscous, and it's just. Yeah, waxy is a great word. It kind of makes you kind of go like this as you're drinking it. So I think, without further ado, I think it's time.
Shall we crack it open?
I'm excited for this one as well, actually. So yeah, they don't have a huge core range, but there's lots of sort of indie bottles of Clynelish as well, which is worth a good sound. It's worth looking at. Let's open for a bit more, John.
Right. Well, you can always help yourself to more later.
Thank you. Oh, slant. Cheers.
Cheers.
Clynelish is one of those distilleries that's kind of in bed with a very famous distillery called Brora. So to try and explain it, Clynelish distillery is located in Brora, but there is also a distillery called Brora in Brora. They were side by side. And Brora is no longer open, although they are planning to make things more confusing. They are planning opening it this year, or it might fall into the next year. But they used to kind of operate side by side, and then there was a bit of ownership.
They were both under the same name at one point, so you had Clynelish 1 and Clynelish 2. Of course, that's not really allowed and confuses things even further. So that's why the original Clynelish changed its name to Brora. And I believe they did also swap names
again,
at some point.
At some point.
Yeah. Certain years they were peating, and certain years they weren't. So, just probably one of the most confusing histories of a distillery that there is in Scotland.
Yeah. But one of the most unique styles. So, like, it's based in the Highlands, but there is a little bit of that coastal element. You could maybe talk about when we were looking at Talisker. It describes a coastal dram. There's sometimes a tiny little bit of kind of smoke in Clynelish, but very, very little. I wouldn't describe it as a smoky dram. I would describe it more as the mouthfeel is probably the most important thing about it. But Brora itself, I mean, bottles of Brora now are 4 figures easily. And to think you'd pay 4 figures for a bottle of Brora, and then you can get something like this that's basically side by side for, I think Clynelish 14 is super reasonable. I think you're 40, 50 pounds maybe for Clynelish.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to try some Broras. But I've also tried some Clynelishes that are outrageously good. One comes to mind in the bar, actually.
Yeah. One that was finished off in a bit of
in not my favourite way, but yeah.
So there was, not long ago now, a few months ago, we had a fantastic Clynelish. I think it was a 23-year-old single cask strength, just absolutely lovely stuff. And I've been wanting to try it since it had come in. We only had one bottle, so the bottle was going down and going down and going down. And towards the end, I was in one night drinking with my friend Adam. When a guest that was staying with him at his hotel was at the bar, wanted to offer us a treat. So he said, "Let me get you a Macallan 25." And we said, "Well, oh no, don't spend your money on that." There's a fantastic Clynelish up there which you should really try if you're in the Highlands. Try a good Highland whiskey. So he bought us 3 drams, which was very kind. It was
Not cheap.
Not a cheap dram.
Yeah, not cheap.
And we said our cheers and thanked him very much. And he just leaned back and woof, down in one. So me and Adam looked on aghast, but if you want to buy your whiskey that way and drink it that way, be our guest. But he then turned round and loudly exclaimed, "That was great! That was so good! I'm going to do this!" Reached over and downed my one as well. So I never got to try that, although thankfully my friend Adam did share his dram with me, so I did get to try a little bit before the bottle was
The thing was
polished off.
he did it as a joke, not realising that it was single cask, and we had one bottle, and that was the last 3 drams in the bottle. So he's like, "Oh no, 2 more, bartender!"
Yeah.
And we were like, "You don't understand. There is no more." You know.
That's kind of, I suppose that's kind of the joy of whiskey. These
Yeah.
bottles come along now and then that are really special, and it's a fleeting thing. It's always changing. It's always
You'll never forget it.
You'll never forget it.
You never forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or taste it.
Thankfully, this Clynelish is far more readily available. So
Yeah.
it really is a classic, and it's one that we find ourselves coming back to again and again.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was the sort of go-to. If someone asked, "Do you want a whiskey?" I can't decide what I'm going to have. I'll just say Clynelish because it's such a reliable standard.
Yeah, totally.
And you've got lovely sort of notes of. There's a little bit of citrus in there,
A bit of orange in there.
saltiness, orange.
Yeah.
Tasting note that somebody came up with the other day, which I think I can get in there, is marshmallow. It's just got a lovely.
This is
round-
like your Lilo one from a while ago.
Yeah, you've got lovely sort of vanilla, but you've also got the waxiness coating your mouth, and I think that's where it comes from. You've just got a lovely sort of very soft whiskey.
You know, it is delicious.
Hands off.
Hands off.
Or paws off, I should
Yeah.
maybe say. With Clynelish. So, I don't know if you can see on the bottle, but the sort of mascot of the distillery is the wildcat. So you'll quite often see independent bottlings of Clynelish with a cat on the front or something like that. So
Yeah, no, very good. And they've just done I think a new visitor centre last year as well, so it's not too far to Brora from where we are anyway. It's about an hour and a half.
an hour and a half drive, yeah, and it's a lovely road, well
Yeah.
worth a trip up there.
Yeah, and on the way there's some distilleries on the way up there. It's a good trip, and as I say, there's some good distillery exclusives and stuff up there. I'm sure you can grab. But as a sort of go-to, have in your cupboard dram that many people maybe haven't seen. I don't think you see that really in supermarkets really too much. They're not that popular, but value for money, flavour, quality.
You can't go too far
I don't
wrong.
think you can go too far wrong either. So, yeah, great. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it and we've gone away from smoke. Yeah, let us know what you think about Clynelish. If you've got any stories about Clynelish, yeah, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.